it's incredibly hard to define our lives and what is specifically important to us and our exclusive journeys. So we very commonly sort of take other people's viewpoints and adopt them as our own, and we sort of live through a standard, what is accepted by wider society, and what is, when people look at us, is, validated and makes people have higher viewpoints of us, and so on and so on. So we end up living through other people's expectations and other people's opinions, and it's clearly shown to be, not a great way to live. It's very self-gratifying, it's very instantly gratifying, but it has many pitfalls, and it is really, unhealthy in long term. You can have moments of, appeasing other people rather than, any other part of yourself, and get some response from it. But when it's every single instance, everything you do, it becomes this unhealthy cycle of obsessive gaining for someone else, basically. And it's all easy to sit here and say this, and it's much harder to, reject it and come up with an alternative, because validation is a beautiful thing. Validation makes us feel so good, and we want to be liked and we want to be viewed positively, but when it is a detriment to us, we don't realise that the cause is, the fact that we're working for other people, not ourselves. And I have these moments where I'm thinking, all these people who I deem as important to my life, who when I'm much older, I will look back at certain periods and think, oh, remember that person who was sort of a figurehead in my world, not exactly to my life, but in my world they were an important figure. Then I think, well, were they really, or was that just the way I was looking at life? There are points in my past where people were, socially popular. They were stance points of, success in a social sphere, and I thought, oh, okay, that's an important person for this period. And then there's someone else who comes along, when you're not exactly old, but you're a bit older than that, and you realise it's not just being, the fastest runner or the tallest person. It's being, popular. It's being socially open. It's being having a sphere, and then they become the most important people. And then you move further on, and success comes into it. And these people who are popular and successful, or popular and are already on a higher plate than you, they become stance points of, important. You think, oh, I'm going to think back and think of so and so as someone who was very valid in living, who was very vital to my world and its makeup. And then you think, well, not really, there's no importance to that person in retrospect compared to anyone else. He or she could have been just as important as one person I met in the street, never spoke to, never made eye contact with, just passed when we brushed shoulders in a corridor. The only thing giving them importance is the viewpoint I'm having and the way I'm looking at them, because of the ingrained belief that I need to live through other people's viewpoints. It's never my own viewpoint of my own things. It's my own take on everyone else's interpretation. I'm finding importance in what other people think should be done and should be had and should be the status of things. And it is incredibly unhealthy. It is, parasitic, because it eats away at your own positives and your own ability to cognitively come up with ideas of importance, and you brush away actually self-important things for ideals and expectations of others. You find nothing yourself. You're just taking what you think should be had, when really it has no bearing on you. For you it's not the right fit. There are thousands of other things that you would be better suited to, and it's hard to find these, but it's definitely worth searching for them. And I wish I could give some advice to just tell you how to turn your back on other people's views and how to find your own, because I know lots of people think validation is a good thing, but they don't want it from, on sort of not their means, means that feel fake, that make people feel like an imposter. I'm only getting validation because I'm pretending to be someone else. And I wish I could give some kind of, active advice you could act upon that would tear that away and put you in your own place with a positive affirmation. But there isn't something, widespread, and it's hard, and it's painful. But that's the first sort of step with it, is realizing no one's going to help you but yourself. You have to, find it yourself. That's why it's your own thing. If anyone else is helping you find it, You're still going off someone else's expectations, someone else's standards, someone else's belief. It has to be entirely you, and it will be hard. It will be painful. It will feel like a sense of rejection at the start because you're turning away from what gave you validation in the past. But the progress and process of it will lead to something astronomically more, pleasing as a human, when you can find that playing field that is yours, meant to be you, is right for you, and everyone views as good enough, but it's not their viewpoint that matters. Like, that makes sense. It's that balance between people find it, people approve of it, but also your approval of such is even higher.